So excited to be here today. The role of revenue operations and why it matters with Hank Taylor, VP of Marketing and RevOps at Vercel, and Stephen Stouffer, VP of Marketing Operations at SaaScend. I will let these two experts introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right into the panel and the questions since we don't have that much time. Why don't we start with Hank?
Yeah, so I'm the VP of Marketing and Revenue Operations. I started a while back doing telemarketing and door-to-door sales, and then I got a tech job as an SDR, and I was like, this software way is the way to go. Turned out to be adept at the operations. I performed well on my team, not because I'm better at selling, but because I was more efficient at selling. So there was something to that. I leaned into operations that led me through a slew of roles in RevOps and marketing. And that's taken me to here.
Awesome. Stephen.
Nice. Yeah. So I started my career as a salesperson on the Best Buy floor. My first real kind of marketing role was actually a data analyst position at a company, and then that transferred into marketing automation. So leverage marketing automation platforms, and then that just kind of blossomed very naturally into revenue operations, marketing ops type role. So I've been in operations now for 7+ years, but my roots is in like the marketing automation side of the house. So very thankful for that experience. It's extremely relevant to RevOps.
That's awesome. Really cool stories. I am the head of operations essentially at RevGenius. So if you've seen me around the community, I'm Asia Corbett. And I'll be facilitating the discussion, but really leaving it up to these two gentlemen to share their experience and their knowledge all around revenue operations, what it is, why it matters, where is it going, and whether you're an executive or an individual contributor, where can you start? So first thing, what is revenue operations? So what does it look like for you at your organization? What is revenue operations in your organization?
Cool. Who should go first?
Stephen.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I get for opening my mouth. So I think at its core, I think about revenue ops as people, data, process. So people, alignment between departments, sales, marketing, data, making sure that the infrastructure, compliance, the tech stack is kind of working seamlessly together. And then process, just making sure that, the alignment between sales and marketing is happening. You kind of have revenue operations that kind of sits between these two departments who have their own kind of independent, MQL goals on the marketing side. And then on the sales side, you have pipeline, and then up close, like closed deal goals. Revenue operations, I see sitting really well between them, and they can kind of take a look at both teams, kind of measure them in a very agnostic way, where RevOps may not have a specific end of quarter goal that marketing and sales might have. So it's just a really important role to have to kind of be kind of the referee between the two departments that have their own independent goals. But at the end of the day, they both roll up to a larger initiative for the organization. And that's where RevOps, I think, plays a critical role.
Wow, that's wonderful. I love that you included process in there, because I'm also a huge advocate of process in revenue operations. And I like that analogy of revenue operations sort of being the referee between these two departments. Is sometimes you need someone to moderate or translate things or kind of field things around. And so it's a good analogy. I'm going to have to put that one in my back pocket. How about you, Hank?
Nice.
What does operations look like for you?
I have a, everyone loves their list of threes. Mine is data, platforms, and process. So I need to include the people somehow. Yeah, for us here at Vercel, it's we serve those three things across marketing, sales, and customer success, and act as a bridge to finance in many ways, and also a bridge to engineering in a lot of ways. We're a very technical company with a lot of interesting usage data. So we have some interesting needs around tying our product data, which has a lot of freemium. There's a lot of free versions and different scaled versions. So getting that data available to the right people in marketing, sales, and customer success, and enabling them to do their jobs with the most information possible is kind of our core mission. Which, yeah, it's very similar sounding to Stephen's, and it seems most people have adopted this kind of definition of RevOps.
Yes.
It looked for a while like it was going to go more of a, well, there's the kind of revolution of BizOps, which is taking on kind of that finance sales connection, which it looked like for a little while that RevOps was going to take that. But I think everybody's kind of aligning to this.
Yeah, that's I think that's pretty accurate. I actually worked in a BizOps department a couple companies ago, and part of our department, one of the things we were responsible for was supporting the go-to-market teams in addition to the rest of the organization. So, we could, I essentially was a sales ops person because we supported the sales team and the CS team. But we also supported like legal and HR and our independent contractor vertical. So we had all of these pieces, but sales ops and like revenue ops, go-to-market ops was a huge core of the business operations team. So it'll be interesting to see how that either converges or diverges as the industries start to sort of adopt revenue operations a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's still a very ambiguous thing. I know some businesses don't even have a revenue operations kind of team or department. It typically either falls under sales ops or marketing ops, and it kind of stems off from one of those, and it just gets so big that it just kind of needs to become its own thing.
It's hard to scale.
Yeah,
and it's hard to find people who can think holistically across the whole funnel or hourglass or bow tie or whatever you want to call it now, or life cycle. And yeah, I actually I wonder a lot about how RevOps will scale at bigger companies, and I'm going through this right now. And yeah, it's somewhat inevitable because of the connectivity of data and the breakdown of data silos, though, right? Yeah. Trey sponsoring this panel because they know I love to preach that the reason for RevOps now is because of the breakdown of these data silos, and there's a new ability for people to holistically own where that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Right.
It was impossible 10 years ago.
Well, not only I think it's inevitable, but I think that with data compliance and regulations just encroaching on businesses and forcing them to get into it, I think that it's going to be a natural progression where you've got sales doing their own thing, marketing doing their own thing, but then you've got CCPA, GDPR breathing down their neck. Revenue operations is going to need to step in and be like, okay, hold on, everybody. Like, you can't just batch and blast everybody. Marketing and sales, what are you doing to your sales loft IP address? Like, rein everybody in and kind of have a pulse check of the business and making sure they're doing what they should be.
Stephen, how do you sorry, AJ, I'm going to ask Stephen a question that I'm curious about. How do you balance being an enabler versus the bad guy? So, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's that tricky balance of like, hey, everybody follow the rules, but
Yep.
also, hey, everybody, let me help you make more money.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure. It's answering every question with yes, but. Oh, you want to do that? Yes, but you need to, make sure that you're, following whatever regulations or agreements through different contracts. You got your website team who wants to do all of this amazing tracking, but it's like, okay, great. But like, we need to think through traffic from different geos and how are we handling that? And just thinking through that. And I think that's where the data and process really need to kind of come together, where we're almost swimming in too much data these days. And we were so focused on getting data, and now it's like, well, we have it, but the eye shifted off process, and it's like, okay, now we need to like kind of go back and make sure that our process is buttoned up, because we're just swimming in so much data.
Unactionable data is just noise.
Yeah,
yes, I agree.
exactly.
I'm gonna use this as a segue into the next part, RevOps 201, which is why does it matter? And we're sort of talking about all of these things like stewardship and enabling your organizations, and the importance of data, connectivity. And so why does revenue operations matter, right? What role, additionally, do you think revenue operations plays in revenue acceleration? How do you see revenue operations really enabling your go-to-market teams to, at the end of the day, go bring in more revenue, which is what their job is?
Yeah, it's I'll play with the chat a little bit, because I mentioned bow tie, and now there's a discussion about winning by design. I've worked with them and have actually consulted with them before, and they taught me a ton. And what the bow tie talks about is, it's the funnel doesn't end there. You then have to expand. And back to, some of what Stephen was saying, that connectedness and that yes, but you can only do as you're aware. If you have someone aware of all the segments of the life cycle. So yeah, I think you're right. It is inevitable. And that it's both the compliance and the how we do it. I don't know how well that answers your question, but
yeah, no, I think that is a good answer. What are your thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, so when we think about revenue acceleration, my mind immediately goes just to alignment between marketing and sales, enablement, like enabling sales to get the insights they need to what their contacts and opportunities are doing in the pipeline. Alignment where marketing isn't going to overstep sales, where maybe they have an outreach sequence on the sales side, but then also marketing has nurture programs, making sure that people are being removed from the nurture sequences on the marketing side when sales engages. So there's a cohesion of conversations happening between two different departments. And, you're not getting an email when you're in a sales cycle. Maybe you even have a contract sitting in your inbox and the marketing's asking you to, get a demo request, right? Like, that's not conducive to like getting people through and expediting kind of that pipeline process. So having someone who can kind of look at what's happening on both sides of the house and making sure that there's alignment is huge, because when they're kind of singing the same song, going in the same direction, I think you'll see people move through not only the pipeline faster, but if you do NPS surveys or any sort of follow-up of just customer success, it's going to make their lives a lot easier too.
Yeah.
And something so interesting about what you're hitting on is why it matters is the basics matter. Like what you said, hey, let's not hit up people for a demo when there's a contract in their inbox. That's a very basic thing. Yet it's difficult to do. And if you get the basics right and they're holistic and span the whole and consider the whole life cycle, then you win. It's really actually quite simple, just hard to do. And I think one example I've thought about a lot here at Vercel is when I came on, one of the first things I did was set up our automated prospecting. We didn't have SDRs for almost a year. And one outreach sequence that was automated basically generated 80% of our enterprise pipeline for a year, and I didn't touch it. It was a basic thing. I got it set up right once, and then I was able to go do a bunch of other stuff. But the basics matter a lot.
That's so true. And I'm just watching our time, and we have a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to push to the next topic. Maybe we can touch on just briefly. We talked a little bit about where revenue operations is going, and maybe you can each give like a one-liner. Where do you think you see revenue operations as a function, as a discipline, next year and beyond?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's always evolving. I think that as the tech stack just kind of grows and grows and grows, and you kind of create all these different data silos, I think that connecting them all and creating an architecture where you can normalize data and level up insights in a meaningful way. Going back to what Hank said about like not having actionable data is, I don't know, forget the quote. It was a good quote.
It's noise.
It's noise. So like, you have all of these different platforms, marketing automation, you got Salesforce, you got website traffic, all of this. It's getting it all packaged in a way where you can tell a story and sales and marketing can leverage it. And enable the business to run better. You have enrichment tools, you have scoring, grading, routing, data hygiene, like all of this stuff. It's not only important today, and it's been important, but we're moving in a direction where the sophistication of sales, marketing, and revenue operations is getting to a point where they're going to really need to crack down on that, focus on it, and make sure that the business is operating as efficiently as it can with the existing tools. I'm not even talking about getting new tools, just using the existing tools that you have and getting them working and functioning the best way possible. I think it's always been the goal of revenue operations, but I don't think we're there yet. I think a lot of businesses leverage native integrations, but they're kind of flawed in that they really only connect well to one tool. They don't connect well to, let's say, 15, which is why I think microservices tool like Tray is kind of the future of revenue operations, because it connects everything together.
Yeah.
Connectivity and integration, as I alluded to earlier, I think that's why revenue ops exists and is inevitable. But the future of it is then greater action and greater insight, which leads to greater action. Having your data in one place is the first step of RevOps, and the advanced teams are using that data intelligently.
Wonderful insights. I'm going to pop to the next and last thing. We have a minute left, so if you would like to share one thing to get started, if someone wants to get started in RevOps, what would it be?
Oh man. Okay. Quick. Follow the money. Follow it from all the way sales or a marketing spend all the way down to closed won deals.
Awesome. What about you, Hank?
Echoing what I already said, like connect your data and then try and do something actionable with it. And also you could apply to come work at Vercel because we're building a state-of-the-art team. Just hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yes. Join the RevOps revolution. Okay. So we have 20 seconds left this session. I want to thank you two so much for speaking today and sharing your insights. It was really helpful. We're going to record this, and it's being recorded and it will be sent out. And then anybody else, if you have questions for Hank or Stephen, we're going to do the Twitter follow-up. So we'll gather them from the platform, and you can also message them to me on LinkedIn or in Slack, and we'll start that Q&A. See ya.
Thanks, everybody.